Now that you understand what it is a manager is looking for and how to answer the question why product management, let's go through an exercise that actually enables you to come up with that personal story that you're looking to be able to do. But in order to do that, we got to go to a PC. Okay, so here we are. Any text editor will do. I'm using Microsoft Word. You can use any one that you want. Our goal here is to produce something that is going to be useful when it comes to creating that personal narrative. And we're going to actually use a GPT to also help us with that. So we want to use minimum styling, if you will, just to make sure that it's easier to process. You're first going to divide this worksheet into two areas. The first is the why you portion. The second is the why product. Under why product, you're going to have key projects and programs. And then we're going to populate this even more so using the XYZ method popularized by Google recruiters. Up in the skills section, you're going to have technical, hard, soft skills, as well as unique experiences or circumstances that make you stand out as a potential candidate. So let's scroll down and I will show you my own examples. So under skills, technical skills, what does that actually mean? Well, technical skills are those skills that are necessary in order to create or be part of a particular industry. If you are in finance, for example, there are specific CPA-oriented roles, there's specific series roles and qualifications that you need in order to be able to say, yes, I can do that job. In software product management, which I'm a part of, that also means certain frameworks and methodologies like Scrum or Agile. That also means the programming languages that you're capable of speaking of, any formal training that you've received, and the specific techniques that you have garnered over the years. So you can see here, I have 11 entered in. If you are more senior in role, you probably want between 10 and 15. If you're more junior in role, you're probably going to be aiming for around 5. But the goal here is to convey those specific skills that are related to the industry that you're looking to enter. Hard skills, on the other hand, tend to be more transient, if you will. They tend to be more business or analytical oriented. They're how you're dealing with sales and Marcom, even going into research itself. So you can see here, I have 17 listed. Ideally, more senior of a role, you're probably looking at 15 to 20, more junior, 5 to 10. And you want to include things that are specifically related to projects, programs, or applications that you have led or have been a significant contributor to. Hard skills help set you up for further conversation around those projects. And you can use those as pretty solid examples of how you do something, say A/B testing wise. You can recite a couple different projects and a couple different examples of how you were able to leverage the idea of A/B testing in order to accomplish and get some results. Soft skills get this idea that they're just people skills, and that's not quite true. Soft skills do have a lot of dealing with people, but there's also critical thinking. There's also the ability to communicate in general, not just your relationships with people, but executive presence, for example, is a soft skill. You also want to focus on those skills that you have certification or some form of formal training to back up your claim. Soft skills are very difficult to point out, even if you've done a project or even if you have done a lot of experience with it, it's difficult to prove that without some level of formal training. And that is very important. And that's why you see a lot of mine are here listed as certified. You can see here, I only have 5 listed. You want to make sure that these are something that are really impactful and really relevant to the position. There are a lot of buzzwords and resume fillers going around talking about things like, oh, I'm good at conflict resolution, or I'm really good at cross-functional leadership, which I do have on here. You want to make sure that it's not just fluff. That's not going to help you when it comes to actually creating a resume or creating a personal narrative. You want to make sure that these are soft skills that you use frequently, that you have training for, and that you can back it up. The last section on the why you is your unique experiences or circumstances. Now, these are things that make you stand out as an individual as well as relate to your ability to do the job or makes an employer enticed to learn more about you. And so that's why we're calling out here my growing up in Eastern Kentucky, the ability to found 3 organizations in college. I've already spoken of the puzzle breaker mentality that I've had. These are unique to just me. The combination of your unique experiences with those skill sets is how you answer that question, why you? Moving on to the why product section, we have key projects or program. This you want to have a rundown of the key things that you were involved with in every job that you had. I highly recommend putting these in chronological order because if I were to put down Windows Performance Guide and then suddenly I put down Venzuli, there's a big gap. There's actually a role in between here that I don't have anything for. And so that helps highlight those gaps and helps also pull together your mindset as you're trying to put together all the projects that you were involved with and how it came to be and what your contributions were. This is going to help you with that mindset. And you want to also make sure that it is anything that could potentially be related to technical product management or product management in general. These projects are going to help you stand out as a potential candidate, whether you're new in the career or you're an established manager. All of these pieces are going to fit together. Now, you might be asking, hey, what about volunteer work? Volunteer work would go up here in unique experiences because it doesn't relate to your ability on the job. That's generally the advice that I've seen, and I still believe, even as somebody who's done thousands of hours of volunteering, I try to keep those two separate in order to make sure that people understand, hey, these are my professional qualifications and my volunteer work is what makes me interesting and somewhat unique. So how are we going to wrap all of this together in that personal narrative? Well, that's where Google's XYZ concept comes in. So what is the XYZ? You simply say, I accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. And it's as simple as that. So X is what you achieved. Y is how you measured that it's an achievement. And Z is how you actually made that happen. So for each project that you have, you're going to put together this little grid. And note, I'm in landscape format because there's a sixth column that we're going to add in the next video on how to tailor this to specifically job requirements. So here I have my Windows Performance Guide. Did I have a special contribution? Well, in this case, yes, I authored it. I wrote the guide itself, and I also wrote some of the tools to help expedite the ability to investigate as well as make changes on the system. What did I accomplish, or what did this project accomplish? Well, a 12% reduction in system outages was basically the outcome that we achieved. How did we measure that? Well, we had a client case report system, and that case report system measured the different kinds of incidences that we were seeing, and we noticed that when people used this guide, they had a 12% reduction in cases that involved system outages. What did I specifically do? Well, I collaborated with IT system administrators to do some system testing. I did 2 levels of research. One of them was with Java and the other was with Windows. I could add in additional things here if I wanted to, but here's the other thing. Most of your jobs that are more than 5 years old, what you actually achieved and accomplished is less important than what you have done in the most recent 5 years. So these older ones provide great practice in how to put this together, but it's going to be less useful in the interview process simply because of the age of them. Technology changes, you've changed, how we do things have changed. And so while these accomplishments are very noteworthy and they're going to help you think about how to do this, they're going to be less important overall. So if we come down to somewhere, say here with Game Coach, this was within the last 5 years. So this is another example. And you can see I'm starting to add in more text. I'm also starting to talk more about product discovery because this was more of a 0 to 1 initiative. So product discovery was very important, and I was the product lead on this as well. We did get E3 awards, as was judged by the judges overall, and I could include some other interesting measurements here as well, like market reach, number of reviews, and potentially if I could tie it into sales, be that units, revenue, or margin, that would also be a very impactful metric that we could put in here. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to put in one of these entries for every project that you listed above. Now, how do we wrap this all together? We're going to bring up your favorite GPT, and then we're going to upload this into a specific prompt. Okay, here I am. This is GTP 4. I think they're calling that O. So I have my skills document here. I've saved that. And then this is the prompt that I used. Create a 30-second answer to the question, why product management? Personalize the response based upon the attached document. Include elements addressing why me, why product, and make it an interesting personal narrative. And that's where they created this result here. Now, absolutely do not take this verbatim, memorize it, and then start repeating it ad nauseum. You don't want to do that. Look at what they have provided you as a framework for answering this question. You will then need to go back through and make a small adjustments in order to make sure that you are aligned with what you are actually saying. So some of these things, like learn to piece together old computers, while technically true, that wasn't what sparked a lifelong passion for problem solving and innovation for me. So I would actually go and change this particular sentence. I would definitely want to call out my puzzle breaker mentality when it talks about turning complex challenges into user-centric solutions. Technically, yes, that is true, but there's missing pieces of it. And that's how I'm going to actually personalize this kind of a response. So that's how you use ChatGPT, a skills document like I just showed you, in order to get that personal narrative created. All right, so that portion of the exercise is done. Next up, I'm going to discuss how to take a job description and turn that personal story into something that's really going to resonate with the recruiter and the hiring manager. If you found this insightful, why don't you click that insightful button down below? And I look forward to joining you again soon.